Hey everybody, welcome to Tuesday Night Live with Rob. Tonight we've got a very interesting topic, one that I've been looking forward to talking about for quite a while, and that is the Chineseium takeover in the United States. We're going to look at some different products that, like the top 10 products that are imported into the US from China, as well as some 2A or Second Amendment items that are imported from China versus their United States made counterparts, and kind of compare and contrast the two. So really looking forward to this show tonight. This is one that's going to be a fun one, guys. So make sure if you got any questions or anything that you drop them in the comments over on the side, and we'll try and get to all of those tonight. But first off, I want to ask everybody, if you would, please make sure you hit that subscribe and the like button down below. Subscribing and liking our YouTube channel really helps us with the YouTube algorithm and helps us to reach more people. So please hit that subscribe button down below. If you guys missed it earlier today, we had an awesome show over on the Sensible Prepper channel with Don, and it was a really good show today. We were talking about get home bags and going through a couple of get home bags and some things that you should pack into your bags. So if you missed that show, please make sure you jump over to the Sensible Prepper channel and catch the live from earlier today. So let's just jump into this. Top 10 most imported items from China. Wow. Let me hit the replay on that. Top 10 most imported products from China. This is from 2023 statistics. The number one most imported item from China, smartphones. Obviously, probably not a big surprise there. Most of our phones that we use, we've all got them. The majority of them come from China. No big surprise there. Number two, automatic digital processing machines. Not really sure exactly what that is. I'm guessing it's probably some kind of credit card processing machines, if I had to take a guess. But that's at, and let me go back and throw some numbers at you. Smartphones, $50.2 billion. Automatic digital processing machines, $49.2 billion. Number three, wheeled toys, inflatable balls, puzzles, scale models, $16.3 billion. Video game consoles and console parts, $10.2 billion. Number five, machines to transmit, convert, and receive voices, images, and other data, $8.5 billion. Number six, this one actually kind of surprised me. I really thought this one would be higher than what it is, but it's not. Number six, lithium batteries, $7.3 billion. Number seven, monitors for automatic data processing machines, $7 billion. Number eight, this is one that I thought would be a lot higher than what it is. Pharmaceuticals in pre-measured doses, $6.9 billion. And they'd probably be a lot higher if we included all the fentanyl that is sent to Mexico that comes to the United States, but that's a different episode from today. Number nine, accessories for computers and other data processors, $6.8 billion. And number 10, plastic items, $4.6 billion. And there's a lot of other stuff that's imported into the United States that's not included in this list. These were just the kind of the top 10 based off of the amount of money that's spent on items that are brought into the country. But so just wanted to kind of highlight those, bring those to you guys' attention. But now let's talk about something that's a little more relatable to the majority of my audience. Let's look at optics. And we're talking about specifically tonight red dot optics for handguns or rifles, and even more specifically Holosun, which is a Chinese manufacturer, versus Trijicon in the United States. And we're going to kind of compare and contrast the two. So optics made in China, Holosun. Holosun is a huge optics manufacturer, and they not only make their Holosun brand of optics, but Holosun also white labels optics for the majority of the companies that import optics into the United States. So if there's a company that you like, brand A, B, C, whatever, I'm not going to name specific brands, but a lot of these brands that import optics to be sold under their brand, those optics are made in China by Holosun. Holosun is a huge optics manufacturer, and they make optics for a lot of different companies. So really interesting to see a lot of who Holosun makes products for, and the type of products that Holosun makes. Holosun is a very, very good optics manufacturer. And we're going to compare them tonight with Trijicon USA. Trijicon is a United States optics manufacturer. The majority or everything that they make for their products are made in the United States. And I thought it'd be a great comparison contrast tonight to look at Holosun versus Trijicon and see what the huge differences are, where the values are in between the two, and really kind of dig into the difference. So first off, let's look at the value of the product. All right. Trigicon's, I think a Trigicon RMR Type 2 retails for about $750. The Holosun 507C Red Dot retails for about $350. So about half the price for the imported model versus the US made product. And those numbers are, like I said, those are retail numbers, not what you can actually buy it for numbers. I did a lot of research on this, and I actually found that the Trigicon RMR Type 2, I can buy the Trigicon Type 2 RMR for about $470 from multiple different vendors online. And $470 is my wholesale cost. That's exactly what I pay for it. $470 and like 33 cents, somewhere around there. But I can actually buy it cheaper from a retailer online. The Trigicon RMR Type 2, I can buy it cheaper from a retailer online than I can buy it from the distributors that I use to be able to resell products, which was very interesting to me. The Holosun optic, in comparison, their map pricing is about, what was it? I think their map pricing is about $300, give or take $1 or $2, one way or the other. So you can buy the Trigicon RMR Type 2, we'll call it $500 for a round number. And you can buy the Holosun 507C, which is their most current red dot, most popular red dot, for about $300. So it's about $200 less to buy the imported one versus the American made optic, which kind of surprised me. You know, I've never really looked at the Trigicons online to see what I could actually buy them for. And it really surprised me that from a purchasing standpoint, that I could buy as a consumer, that I could buy the Trigicon RMR Type 2 cheaper from retailers than I can buy it from my wholesale companies. That was really a little shocking to me. Not a whole lot of so, you know, for somebody that's wholesaling, somebody that's retailing Trigicon RMRs, there's not a whole lot of incentive to really push that product, because if somebody can go online and buy it cheaper than I can buy it as a wholesaler, what's the need for someone like me to even try and sell that product? There's not. So from a wholesale to retail standpoint, if someone's looking at this from a business model, the Trigicon is not the product that you want to be selling, because it doesn't offer any value for the wholesaler to be able to make any profit on it. Let's look at the next topic: reliability of imported products. And this is a huge one. You know, this is one that, you know, most people, when they think of Chineseium, you know, it's going to last you a month and then you're going to throw it in the garbage. It's junk, right? Or it's very low quality. The Holosun optics, in contrast, are absolutely not junk. I have had very, very good. And here's the thing, guys. Let me throw this out there before I go any further. This is not an infomercial for Holosun or Trigicon. All right. I have zero. I have nothing to do with either one of these companies. I have no kind of manufacturer support or anything else from either of these companies. This is me going through doing some research on data and bringing you guys the data that I have done research on to help you make an informed decision on a product purchase, and to talk about the imported products versus domestically made products from an outside point of view, right? Just looking at these products, where you get your best value, where your money goes the furthest, what's a reliable product, and we're going to dig through all of this. But I just wanted to bring that out, that none of this is a sponsored ad by either of these companies. This is me just talking about some data that I have done a lot of research on and have a lot of personal experience with both. So with that being said, reliability of imported products versus domestically made products. The Holosun optics, I have had great results with them. And one of the biggest things with the Holosun optic that I think sets it apart from the Trijicon RMR Type 2 is the battery placement. The Holosun optic, the battery goes in a little compartment in the side and is held in place with a screw, and it's isolated inside the sight itself. Where the Trijicon RMR Type 2, the battery is still mounted on the bottom of the sight. You have to take the sight off of your pistol or rifle or wherever you have it mounted, but you have to dismount the sight to replace the battery, which means you're going to have to re-zero. And you're also having to depend on, you're also having to depend on the mounting surface that the sight is mounted to create enough upward pressure on the Trijicon to keep that sight working. That's why Trijicon started offering a shim plate that provides upward pressure on the battery for more reliability. The Holosun, you don't need that, because the Holosun goes in the side of the sight. You don't have to take the sight off to replace the battery. It uses a smaller battery, but still has the same service life as the RMR Type 2. And we'll get into that a little later. But for me, the Holosun scores better as far as reliability over the Trijicon RMR Type 2 because of the battery placement, because the footprint's the same. They both use the same RMR footprint, same bolt hole pattern, everything, all of that's the same. But as far as battery placement and reliability, I prefer the Holosun over the Trijicon because I don't have to remove the sight to replace the battery. And I don't have to use any type of shims to be able to keep the sight working reliably. Number 4, customer service, import versus American. And I'm going to roll this in with number 5, warranty, US versus imported. And I did quite a bit of research on this. So the Trijicon RMR Type 2 has a 5-year warranty on their LED light. So the LED, the little, whether it's red or green, whatever, the LED in the sight has a 5-year warranty. If it burns out, you send it back for replacement. They will replace it. They will repair it, but there will be a charge if you're past the 5-year mark. The rest of the components, the housing, all the electronics and stuff, are supposed to be a lifetime warranty on the Trijicon RMR Type 2. On the Holosun has a 10-year LED warranty and a lifetime warranty on the housing and electronics. I found it interesting that Trijicon only warranties their LED for 5 years, but Holosun warranties their LED for 10 years. And then the warranties on the housing, the lens and the electronics and stuff like that are comparable outside of the LED. But you know, if you look at things on the surface, if you start doing research on Trijicon RMR warranty, you know, it's going to pull up and it's going to say lifetime warranty. But then you have to dig into that warranty itself and see what is actually warranted under that lifetime warranty. And Holosun is the same way. Holosun has a lifetime warranty. When you first look at it on the surface, it is a lifetime warranty. But it's only a lifetime warranty on specific product or specific parts of that sight. It's not a lifetime warranty on the LEDs. The LEDs have a service life with both the Trijicon and the Holosun. Trijicon is 5 years, Holosun is 10 years. So for me, the Holosun, the imported sight, scores much higher than the Trijicon because it's double the warranty on the LED if I have any kind of issue with it. Number 6, glass quality. The glass quality with the Trijicon as well as the Holosuns are, in my opinion, kind of comparable with one another. They're both coated optics, they're both coated lenses. They both have anti-glare, anti-reflective properties to them with the coatings that they put on the lens. The lenses are very clear, they're very easy to see through. I don't see any benefit or loss with the Holosun versus the Trijicon. I think they are comparable with one another. The next category is going to be windage and elevation. The windage and elevation adjustment knobs on the Trijicon RMR are click adjustable, so you can audibly hear and feel a click every time you advance or retard, whether you're moving left, right, up, or down, you're going to feel a click. They're very positive. The Holosun is exactly the same way. You're going to feel a click every time you turn it. It's going to be very positive. It's going to be very repeatable as far as making adjustments for windage and elevation. So a draw on that for both of them. Number 8 is housing strength. And this one's kind of interesting. The Trijicon RMR has a very distinctive design on the housing, and it's very strong the way it's designed. Where the RMR or the Holosun has a very distinctive housing design with it, especially with the solar panel that's made into the top of the 507C to help recharge the battery and keep the battery going longer. So I think to me, it's kind of a wash either way. I like the design of both. The Trijicon RMR has kind of a dish top with hardened corners to help reduce stress on the lens in case it's dropped. The Holosun has a domed top, which does kind of the same thing. I really kind of put them comparable with one another. I don't think that a drop from 3 feet with one versus the other is going to cause any sort of damage to one that it wouldn't cause to the other. And this is something that I've kind of seen over time with optics that have been dropped. If an optic is dropped from a certain height, whether it's Trijicon or Holosun, if it's high enough to damage one, it's going to be high enough to damage both. One of the big things that the Holosun has going for it is what's called the shake awake. If the pistol lays dormant and is not moved, the sight will put itself to sleep. And as soon as you grab it and pick it up and it feels a little movement, it'll turn the dot on, which really, really aids in the lifespan of the dot, as well as having the solar panel on the top, which helps to recharge the battery if you're using it on a regular basis out in bright sunlight. Now, with that being said, one thing that I can say, I did some long-term testing on the Holosun 507C a few years ago because I was really curious about what kind of life cycle I would actually get on a battery. And I milled my slide, bolted the sight on it, and the sight stayed in the dark, I'm going to say 70% of the time that it was mounted on the pistol. It would be in the console of my vehicle, or it would be on my desk or in my shop. But as far as like outside indirect sunlight, getting gamma rays recharging the battery was maybe 10% of the time that it was on there at most, which was kind of what I wanted to see. What was my battery life going to be if it wasn't recharged regularly from the solar panel? And end of the day, from the time that I mounted the sight, put a new battery in it, and started using it, 3.5 years before I started to see any dimming with the dot. And when I talk about dimming, I ran it on its brightest setting all the time. It was manually set up to where when the shake awake went on, the dot was as bright as it would possibly be. And I wanted it set up like that because if I'm using it outdoors or indoors, sometimes outdoors with the auto setting leaves a little bit to be desired on most sites. I like the manual brightness settings where I can brighten the dot up and make it very visible in outside conditions. Inside at night, it would be too bright, but I was focusing on what's going to drain the battery the most and what is going to suck the life out of it and kill the battery the quickest. So 3.5 years is what I ended up getting out of a battery before I could. And when I started noticing, I would pick it up and look at it, and the dot wouldn't be as bright. It would be a little dimmer, a little dimmer, a little dimmer. Still visible, still usable, but not as bright as it was with a full battery in it. So with that being said, 3.5 years is what I found has been the service life of a battery on the Holosun 507Cs. The Trigicons, I can say that I have never done a long-term test on a battery in a Holosun or a Trigicon RMR. And simply because if Trigicon, what I found, if Trigicon states that it will give you up to 50,000 hours of service life, which is about 5 years, it's probably going to give you about that. Most of us are not going to run them to failure. We're going to change our battery out every 2 years, every 3 years, and put a new battery in it. No matter what kind of sight it is, to make sure that it's functioning, because most of the time these sights are on defensive weapons and it needs a replacement battery. So my opinion is, whether you're using a Trigicon RMR, Type 1, Type 2, doesn't matter. Holosun 407C, 507C, 407K, 507K, replace the battery once a year or once every 2 years to make sure you have a fresh battery in it, and you'll never have to worry about the battery going dead on you with either one. Excuse me. One of the big things that I like about the Holosun is it uses the standard. And when I say standard, I think at this point, the RMR footprint on a slide is the standard for most red dots. There's companies that make their own proprietary footprints, blah, 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 all this. But for most handguns, most people, the RMR footprint is a standard now. So Glock is an oddball. They make plates, they make adapter plates. There's companies that do a one size fits none cut on their slide, and you use adapter plates for it, which work for some people. I prefer my sight mounted in the slide, which gets it lower and gives me a more natural index point. If I'm used to drawing iron sights and the red dot is mounted into the slide, my index point is going to be very similar with the red dot as it is to the iron sights. So I'm not a fan of the sight being mounted on top of the slide or on top of an adapter plate, because it raises your bore axis way up and it changes the index point from holster to draw. So I like my red dot mounted in the slide. And the RMR footprint is, in my opinion, the standard for what slides should be cut. The Holosun fits the RMR footprint. The Trigicon fits the RMR footprint, obviously. So that's, for me, is a huge, huge feature, is having the footprint the same. But guys, if me personally, if I'm going out tomorrow to buy a new red dot for one of my handguns, it's going to be the Holosun 507C over the Trigicon RMR Type 2. One of the reasons is going to be cost, but the second and the biggest reason for me is the battery placement and the reliability of the battery that goes in the Holosun versus the battery in the Trigicon, which mounts in the bottom of the sight. I think the Trigicon is more reliable with their battery placement. I think it has less failures with their battery placement. You can always look online and you can find any of these sights that fail. But me personally, I have seen more failures from RMRs with the flicker issue that they have and the sight not making good enough contact, the battery not making good enough contact and staying lit. I've seen more issues with the Trigicon over the last 7 years than I have with the Holosuns. So for me personally, I prefer the Holosun 507 over the Trigicon RMR Type 1 or Type 2. They're both great sights, but if I'm using it and depending on it, it's going to be the Holosun over the Trigicon. And with the topic that we have tonight, Chineseium takeover. Listen, here's the thing, guys. Our U.S. companies are going to have to step up their game. If you're producing a red dot like the Trigicon RMR that's been out for 10 plus years, and it's got issues, the company knows it has issues, the consumers know that it has issues. Trigicon, fix it. update it, make it better, move the battery, okay? Stop trying to sell the same old crap to people that we know doesn't work. Improve your product, make your product better, and take over the industry. You know, don't listen. The Chinese companies, they see these failures that your sites have and they fix them immediately. They fix it with their own products and release their own products, which all of a sudden outperform our US made products because we don't want to go through the design and development and R&D process that it takes to release a new product because, I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe they don't feel like they can be competitive with pricing with a new product that they release. So they stay with the same molds, the same designs, the same old, crusty, dusty, it ain't working stuff. Listen, you've got to spend the money. You're a big company. Produce a better product. For right now, I'm staying with my Chineseium because I feel like it is a better product than the Trijicon, the US made product. And that's a horrible thing to say because I wish that our US made products were updated and better because I'd love to be able to purchase US products. But the Chinese stuff is great products. Guys, let's jump over and look at a few questions and then we'll move on from there. Lots of comments in here tonight. Some of it relevant. A lot of guys talking. Hey, it's good to have all of y'all in here tonight. I love to see the chat with people commenting and talking and sharing stuff. The chat is always one of my favorite things to look at and see people in here having great conversations with one another. Chris Matthews says, heard a lot of great things about the Holosun. Definitely seems good for the money. Skeeter's Buzz says the reason the Holosun is dominating the market is a multifaceted reason. They offer green, which is all I use. They have the multi-reticle, an accessible battery compartment, a solar panel, and on and on. And he's exactly right. Holosun, you can get multiple reticles in the same site where it's just a click of a button to change a reticle design. Where Trijicon, you're limited to one dot size, whether it's 2.5, 1, 2, 3.5, or 6.5 minute dot. I really like the fact that you can change dots. I like the fact that they offer a green and a red dot. Listen, it's a huge thing, guys. If you have astigmatism in your eyes, red is not the color for you. If you've got astigmatism, the red looks like multiple dots or a figure 8 or a lot of different twisted shapes. Red does not work for someone with astigmatism, where green will give you a nice crisp dot that looks normal. So if you have astigmatism, look at the green dot over the red dot. It's going to work much better for you. The battery compartment is a huge one, a huge feature for me. But, you know, just a lot of options and features that you're able to get with the imported stuff that you just can't get on the American-made optics. Gen X Prepper, late but made it. Great Sensible Prepper show today, Rob. Hey, bud, great to have you. Glad you were able to make the show earlier and this one. Skeeter's Buzz says shake awake and full automation. He's exactly right. I mean, the controls in the Holosun are light years ahead of anything that's made in the United States right now. They're tremendous optics. Russ Michaels says, I believe the Holosun makes optics for SIG also, such as the Romeo line. And I believe you're correct. I believe they do make the majority of the SIG optics. Russ Michael says, I have 3 Romeos. They seem fine to me. And here's the thing. If Holosun's making them, you know, they're great optics. Skeeter's Buzz, I use a 507C green on my work gun and have had it on my Walther PDP for almost 2 years. I bump into stuff around the store and that thing takes a beating. Yeah, I'm telling you, my 507C that I have on a Glock 19X has been used and abused. You know, I've taken this thing and thrown it across the range just to see if the sight would hold up and pick it back up. Red dot zone and never loses its 0. Very impressed with the quality of the Holosun 507C. Skeeter's Buzz just got a 507 comp. That thing is incredible. If you shoot competitively in limited optics division or any of the optics divisions that allow you to put a red dot on your pistol, any of your pistol divisions that allow a red dot, or even some of your PCC, pistol caliber carbine stuff. The 507 comp from Holosun has a huge lens that is very easy to pick up. It's very easy to track the dot. The 507 comp is a awesome sight for competitive shooters. Skeeter's Buzz, I have Trijicon SROs and RMRs, and I'll take the Holosun over them all day long. I couldn't agree more. It's a great sight. It's a great sight. Liberty Seeker says the Holosuns are innovative, but their QC lacks. A few of them run on EDCs and have had issues with them, still like them, but hopefully their quality improves. And you know, we can say that about any optics that are out there. You know, you can, anytime you buy an optic, whether it's from Trijicon or Holosun, you might get a Monday optic. Somebody's just having a bad day and something gets missed in QC, whether that's from Trijicon or Holosun. The good thing is both companies offer great warranty, and it's very easy to send it back and they'll repair or replace it. What would Lou do? Sell the same old crap to people? Sounds like a page out of the Glock playbook. Right? I cannot argue that point at all. Joe Montanona says you prefer a Chinese optic for an AR over a Trijicon ACOG. No, two different conversations there. Tonight we're just looking at the red dots themselves. I'm not looking at any sort of variable power optics or anything like that. I'm just looking at red dots specifically. And as far as red dots go for a handgun, yes, I do prefer the Holosun 507C over the Trijicon RMR Type 2. When we start talking about magnified optics, there's some different things that I would look at, different optics manufacturers that I would look at. And once again, not just from the United States, but I would be looking at the US, maybe versus China versus Japan versus German optics, because you have a lot of different companies that are making really high-end optics at different price points from different countries. But it wouldn't just be a US versus China that I would be looking at. There would be other countries that would be included in that as well. When it comes to the red dots, I think that the United States and China are the two big players in the industry. And so that's why I'm comparing those two tonight. Liberty Seeker says a few issues we've seen have been brightness controls and the chevron brightness issues. I have one on my EDC and love it. What would Lou do? Hey, Robbie, I'm located in Easley and would like to pick your brain on a possible barrel porting. I was considering, is there a good way to contact you? Yes. If you check down here below, I will drop my phone number in and just give me a call and we'll go over some things you're wanting to work on. So check that in the comments. I just dropped my my telephone number in there, and give me a call later and we can talk about what you're looking at with your barrel porting. And you know, guys, a big thing, a lot of people like green dots over red dots. Me personally, I prefer the red. You know, I'm getting old, but my eyes still work so far, and the red works out well for me. And one thing that I use as a consideration is your environment, where you're going to be. Here in the South, where we live in the summertime, everything's green. You go outside and literally everything is green, from the grass to the sky almost. So I like a little contrast, and the red for me gives me a really good contrast between all the green in our outside environment. So I do prefer a red dot over the green dot with my eyes and my environment. Now, if I had astigmatism, the green dot would be my one and only choice that I would go to. And if I lived in maybe a different area other than the deep South, where everything is green 9 months out of the year, I may look at using a green dot. But here in the South where we live, me personally, I do prefer the red dot over the green dot. Liberty Seeker, the compact ACSS for the 43X is awesome. Yes, it is. And that sight is one that is made by Holosun for primary arms. Chris Matthews says, Robbie, do you like the primary arms? I'm thinking of getting the LPVO 1x6. Chris, I really do like those sights. They make a couple of different variations. Some first focal plane, some second focal plane. If you're looking at doing a 1x with a illuminated reticle, I think the second focal plane works a little better because your dot size stays the same, as well as your reticle size. But if you're looking at something that you're wanting to be able to stretch out for longer distance, maybe 500 yards, then I would look at the first focal plane. I think the first focal plane, you get more consistency and lack of point of impact shift with the first focal plane over the second focal plane. Both work well. It just really kind of depends on your end use that you're looking for. But the primary arms, variable power optics, low power variable optics work very well. And I've got a bunch of them. I've used them for years in competition and have had great results with them. Boxer Papa, the Holosun 509T has been an excellent product and served me well. Yes. And Liberty Seeker, in fairness, primary arms would fix any issues with the ACSS Vulcan we had. Good on them. And you're exactly right. They do. They stand behind their products well. The Vulcan was actually one that I did some long-term testing on. And the one thing that I found with the chevron and the big outside circle was after 3.5 years, all of a sudden my outside circle went away. I could still see my chevron. It still worked perfectly fine, but my outside circle was gone. And I'm like, what's going on with this? And I took the battery out and replaced the battery. And what was happening was it had enough battery life to continue to illuminate the chevron, my aiming point. But the big outside circle, which gives you a reference point if you're high, low, left, or right to be able to get the reticle in the center, the battery had gotten so low that it wouldn't illuminate the outside circle anymore, but it did still have enough battery life to illuminate the reticle itself. And that was 3.5 years for it to get to that point. So, you know, if you're seeing illumination issues with your Vulcans from primary arms, I would look at replacing the battery in it. That could be an issue that you're having. The battery could be dead. Skeeter's Buzz says, Robbie, YouTube is killing us tonight with ads. LOL. I hope they're giving you a cut. I hope so too, bud. I'm sorry you guys are getting beat up with ads tonight. I'll go in and look at that and see if there's a way that I can cut some of those out. And that way you guys don't have to see so many ads. And George Boone says, loving these lives with Robbie, very knowledgeable guy. George, I appreciate you watching tonight, bud. It's good to have you on. Guys, these were just some of the things I wanted to talk about with the optics that are available tonight or today from Holosun and Trijicon, as well as bring you guys some information as far as the products that are being imported from China and the billions of dollars worth of things that are coming into our country, like the smartphones at 50.2 billion, down to just general plastic items at 4.6 billion. You know, a lot of things are being imported into our country that we use on a daily basis that we just can't buy, that aren't being produced into the United States. Clothing is another one that's not on the list, but a lot of our clothing comes from China. A lot of the things that we use in our day-to-day lives are imported, whether it's from China or other Asian countries. Guys, just because it's an imported product doesn't mean it's low quality. A lot of times, these companies that make things overseas produce them overseas because they have manufacturing costs that are much, much lower than what we have in the United States, as well as companies that are willing to innovate and companies that are willing to look at products that we have in the United States and improve on them. Holosun is a big one. They've taken our red dots that we have here that are produced by Trijicon, and they've looked at their initial design and they've made huge improvements over what is being produced in the United States. Listen, there's great products produced here. There's great products produced overseas. Find something that fits your budget and don't be afraid to buy it just because it's an imported product. Thank you all again for watching tonight. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like button down below. It really helps us with our algorithm with YouTube and helps us to reach more people. God bless everybody, and I'll see you all once again next week at